Hello and welcome to the fourth and final phase and my four-phase guide for mastering false chord screaming. Phase 4 is all about trying to take everything to the next level, finding your unique style and striving for perfection. As a beginner, we don't want to have unrealistic expectations, but by this point, we should be trying to hold ourselves to the highest standard possible. You might never attain perfection in your vocals, but constantly pushing and reaching for it is what's going to help you continually progress. Phase 4 never ends, and there are no exercises, just more so my advice on how to keep raising the bar and pushing your boundaries. Go back to the 6 domains and pick one area that you really want to work on. In terms of tissue adaptation, your false chords should be vibrating as fast as they're ever gonna vibrate by this point, but there still may be some tissue adaptation that occurs that will allow you to produce more distinct tones that you cannot currently produce right now. Even in the last 3 years, I've unlocked new tones and sounds and effects with my false chords that I wasn't able to perform in the first 9 years that I was practicing. But some of that also came from practicing to as many different vocalists as I can find and trying to achieve greater variety in my screams. I've always had the mentality that every vocalist has something to teach you, and if I found a person that I really liked their style, I would spend 2 to 3 months just solely practicing to them. And this allows me to gain a better understanding of how other people use their false chords, which then influences how I use my false chords. In terms of pronunciation, do you want to be able to scream words very quickly, or maybe you want to have a very unique pronunciation style? A lot of vocalists can sound very similar in terms of their distortion, but the way a person pronounces their words can really set the vibe that they're going for, make their voice sound unique and recognizable. In terms of mouth shaping, can you start experimenting with even crazier positionings of your tongue and your mouth, and find new ways to create more inflections in the tones that you're able to produce? In terms of endurance, do you want to be able to scream hundreds of words per song non-stop for minutes on end? I recommend practicing to difficult songs that you don't think you'd be able to keep up with. Some of the best growth that I've gained is from practicing to very difficult songs that I didn't think I'd be able to keep up with and to perform in a single take. And depending on how difficult the song is, it may take me a full month of practice where I really have to take it line by line, figure out where I'm going to squeeze my breaths in, and memorize the words so well that I can devote all of my attention to pacing myself through the more difficult sections. So try practicing songs that you currently don't feel like you have the endurance to be able to get through, and you may even surprise yourself. In terms of coordination, can you start learning to fry scream if you haven't already? And can you then start trying to switch between false chord and fry screaming on the fly, or eventually learn to perform both of them simultaneously? In terms of sensory awareness, can you continue to practice to other vocalists who are doing things that you cannot do, listening very closely and using that sensory awareness to help influence the way you practice or how you think about recreating certain sounds that you hear? And ultimately, can you put all of these things together in the way that works the best for you so that you can really find your unique style? Analyze the things that you do the best and continually focus on your strengths, but spend even more time focusing on your areas of weakness. And those are the areas where you'll have the most room to grow. And you don't want to get stuck or stagnant just focusing on the things that you do well. And lastly, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself. If all you have is your phone, use your phone. It can be difficult to catch errors in the moment while you're performing, so just listen to and reflect on your performance. There have been plenty of times where I've recorded what I thought was a really good take, but then I go back and listen to it, and I'm like, well, I'm not in the correct timing over here. I pronounced this word a little bit awkwardly. I could have held this scream out for a little bit longer. I didn't pace myself enough through this line, so on that last word I screamed, it sounded like I was pretty much out of breath. This will help you unmask your deficits, and every time you find errors, just focus on correcting them. Hold yourself to that higher standard. If you aren't satisfied with your performance, then practice until you are satisfied, and every time you go through this process, it will just help you continually progress. Other metal vocalists and people who enjoy metal vocals will hear all the hard work that you've put into your voice. They'll pick up on the tiny details that you've spent so much time to correct and get to a point where it sounds perfect. And that concludes my 4-phase guide for mastering false chord screaming. If you like the way I teach metal vocals and you want to support my channel, well, please give a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to Scream Theory. I've recently created a Buy Me a Coffee account, and if you'd like to send me a donation, you can do that through the link in the description. But that's it for this one. I'll see you all in the next one.